Hello, I'm Malcolm, and me and my friends today we're gonna discuss the Bernhard Schlink's novel, The Reader. In this discussion, we will focus on two main questions. The first one, we will examine how Hannah explains her past actions in the concentration camp and during the church fire while she was in the court. We will also ask whether her actions can be morally justified with the references to Kant's moral law, especially the categorical imperative. And secondly, we will discuss Michael's relationship with Hannah and whether this relationship teaches him anything about the guilt, responsibility, silence, and the past wrongs. With me today, my friends Amin and Bedirhan. I want to start with the first questions. Uh, how does Hannah explain her past actions both at the concentration camp and also the burning church while she is in the court? Uh, did Hannah do the right thing? Why or why not? Please discuss this with reference to the Kant's moral law.
So, can I start?
Of course, you can start.
First of all, Hannah explains her actions mainly through the idea of duty and obedience. And during the trial, she does not really deny what happened, but instead she tries to explain that she was working as a guard and she's obeying the rules, the laws, and following the orders. So at the concentration camp, Hannah presents herself as a part of the system, and she was an SS guard in Nazi Germany, and she seems to believe that her role required to obey the rules that of the system. So she does not fully question whether the system itself was morally wrong or right. This is important because Hannah's defense is not based on moral responsibility but on institutional responsibility. And in the church fire scene, she also explains her action through duty and order. So she was following the orders, and the prisoners were locked inside the church. And when the church started burning, Hannah and the other guards did not open the doors. And Hannah's explanation is that if they had opened the doors, probably the chaos will be there, the prisoners will escape. And so she thinks that she thinks only through the perspective of control, discipline, and obedience. However, this does not mean that Hannah did the right thing, and she explains her actions, but explanation is not the same as justification.
Okay, I mean, what you think, what you want to add to the first part of our discussion?
Well, I don't think Hannah's actions can be defended according to the Kant's moral law. At first, it may seem like Hannah was acting or behaving according to the duty because she was following orders and obeying the authority. But for Kant, moral duty does not mean blindly obeying the authority. And we can also talk about the Kant's categorical imperative. It tells us that we should act according to the principle that we want to become the universal law for all of us. In other words, before acting, we should ask, can this principle be applied to everyone? I can also say that if Hannah's principle is I should obey orders even when innocent people are being killed, this cannot be a universal moral law. And also, Kant argues that human beings should never be treated or judged merely as means. They must be treated as ends in themselves. And Hannah's actions clearly violated this idea. And in the concentration camp and during the church fire, the prisoners are treated as objects that she controlled them, and not as human beings with dignity. So Hannah may say that she was doing her job and obeying the authority or anything else, but from a Kantian perspective, she misunderstood what moral duty really means.
So I agree with you. But Kantian duty is different. Kant does not say that every rule must be obeyed. He says that moral action must come from reason and respect for the moral laws. For example, if a state or a regime gives an immoral order, following the order does not make an action moral, actually. Nazi Germany was a totalitarian regime and there was a strict hierarchy, but this cannot remove the Hannah's moral responsibility, of course. And she still had to ask herself whether her actions respected human life and human dignity. Since her actions led to the suffering and the death of innocent people, they cannot be morally right.
So both of you are saying that Hannah uses the duty as an excuse, but this is not a Kantian moral duty. Amin, did you want to add something about this?
Yeah, we can also mention Hannah's fear. I think Hannah does not only act because of the duty, she also thinks about the consequences that can happen to her if she doesn't follow the rules. The consequences can happen to herself and the other guards. She's afraid what might happen if she disobeys or fails her task. This is also important for Kant. A morally good action should not be only based for self-interest, fear, or anything else. It should be only based on what's actually basically morally right to do it. Also, in the church fire, Hannah chooses order over human life. She's afraid that the prisoners escape and she fails her task somehow. And we can also say, but Kant would say that moral action requires respecting people's humanity, even when it's difficult or it's dangerous for you. Therefore, Hannah's action is not normal and moral because she does not act from respect for moral law. She acts from obedience, self-interest, and self-protection, and her being selfish.
That's really good points, like from both of you. So, to summarize the first part, we can say that Hannah explained her actions by saying that she was following orders and trying to maintain the control, but according to Kant's categorical imperative, her actions cannot be justified because she treats human beings as mean or ignores their dignity and also follows authority instead of the moral reason. So now we skip to the second question. So, did Michael's affair with Hannah teach him anything about the guilt and responsibility regarding the past wrongs? What conclusion can we draw from the novel? Bedran, do you want to start again?
Yeah, of course, I can start. So Michael's relationship with Hannah teaches him a lot about the guilt, but this learning process is complicated, of course. At the beginning of the novel, Michael is only 15 years old, whereas Hannah is a lot older than him, and their relationship is unequal, and Michael sees Hannah as a powerful figure in his life. And later, when he sees her in the court, he is shocked. The woman once he loved is now accused of participating in terrible crimes, being Nazi and being SS guard. And one of the most important moments is when Michael realizes that Hannah is illiterate. So whole point, the novel goes on for. Michael does not know that Hannah is illiterate, and he understands that she is hiding it because she is deeply ashamed of it. And during the trial, this knowledge could help explain why she accepted responsibility for writing the report. And even though she may not have written it, but Michael remains silent. And this silence is very important in the novel. It shows that Michael also becomes morally responsible in a way. And of course he knows something important, but he does not act.
Well, I totally agree with you. Michael's silence shows that guilt is not only about directly committing a crime. Sometimes guilt can also come from not speaking, not saying anything, not helping, or not taking responsibility when you have the chance or you could do something. Well, also, Michael knows that Hannah read and write, but he does not tell the court. Maybe he stays silent because he doesn't want to reveal his past relationship with Hannah. Maybe he's ashamed. Maybe he doesn't know what the right thing is. But still, the silence he had still has some consequences. Well, the concept is one of the main themes of the novel, the younger generation's relationship with Germany's Nazi past. Michael did not commit Hannah's crime, but he still feels connected to them through memory, silence, and shame. So, at the last part of mine, the novel shows that responsibility is not always simple. Michael learns that past is not done yet. It does not disappear that easily. It continues to affect people who come after it.
So the last thing that you say, it's really important. But what about the tapes Michael sent to Hannah in the prison? Do they show that he learned responsibility, or we can criticize him for continuing to help her?
Let's see what Bernhard has to say.
Yeah, I think the both interpretations are possible because one on hand, Michael's tapes can be seen as a way of helping Hannah to develop her self-awareness, of course, and he records books and sends them to her. And through these tapes, Hannah slowly learns to read and write. From that point, Hannah is still illiterate, but after this point, she slowly learns to read and write. And this is symbolically important because reading becomes connected to moral understanding. And before prison, Hannah avoids self-reflection. She does not really understand or admit that moral meaning of her actions. But in prison, through reading and learning, she starts to face more past. She starts to face the past more seriously. And on the other hand, we can criticize Michael as well. He continues to communicate with Hannah, but he avoids direct emotional responsibility, and he does not really speak to her openly. He keeps distance, so his help is limited and indirect for me.
Yeah, true. And yeah, I think Michael's actions are not fully innocent. He may be trying to deal with his own guilt by helping Hannah somehow, but helping Hannah does not erase what actually happened. Also, we should ask whether Hannah's later guilt is enough. She eventually becomes more aware of her crimes before her release. She even leaves some money for the survivor of the church fire, as long as I know. This shows that she feels guilt and wants to move on and be a new person, but that's not enough. And also, I can think it's somehow something kind of symbolic compensation, but this does not repair the crime. It does not bring back the victims that died in the church fire. Her suicide also raises a difficult question. Is suicide a way of accepting responsibility, or it's somehow escaping from a responsibility? I think the novel does not give us any easy answer. It shows that guilt can be recognized in not simple ways. In most ways, it may not always repair.
So I agree with you. Hannah's suicide should not be seen as complete moral solution, but it may show that she finally feels the weight of her guilt, but it also prevents her from continuing to live with responsibility. This responsibility thing is a hard thing in this novel, and the survivor's reaction is also important. She does not simply forgive Hannah, and this shows that guilt is not something that can be solved only by regret. And the victims and survivors have their own memory, of course, and they feel pain and judgment. And in this sense, the novel teaches us that responsibility for past wrongs requires more than personal guilt. It requires truth, memory, and the courage of what happened.
So, would you say that Michael learned something from this relationship with Hannah?
Yeah, but I'm sure that it wasn't in a simple way. Michael learns that love and guilt can exist together. He loved Hannah, but he also learns that she was involved in a terrible crime against humanity. That forces him to question his own memories and the feelings. He also learns that silence can be a form of moral failure. During the trial, he stayed silent and didn't reveal anything. Later, he helps Hannah with these tapes that he sends her, and but he still avoids fully confronting her face to face. So Michael does not, I can say, does doesn't feel learn about his guilt and responsibility, but he does not become a perfect moral person. His learning is incomplete, and that makes the novel more realistic, I can say.
Yeah, I agree with you. Michael's experience shows that dealing with the past is confusing in a way. He cannot completely separate private memory from public guilt, and Hannah was part of his personal life, but she also was a part of a historical crime in Nazis. And this is one of the strongest points of the novel. It asks how people should respond when someone they loved is connected to evil actions, and it also asks whether understanding someone's weakness means excusing their crimes. In Hannah's case, her illiteracy explains some of her behavior, but it does not excuse the whole moral responsibility.
So, thank you about for your comments. If you don't want to add anything, I want to
Yeah, I
tell
know.
something about the novel now. So, if we conclude the discussion about the novel, Hannah explains her past actions through the obedience, duty, fear, and rules of the Nazi system. However, according to Kant's categorical imperative, her actions cannot be morally justified. The Kantian morality requires respect for human dignity, acting according to the principles that can become universal moral laws. Hannah fails in this topic because she treats prisoners as objects, and she rather than the human beings. For the second question, Michael's relationship with Hannah teaches him that guilt and responsibility are complex. He did not commit Hannah's crimes, but his silence during the trial shows that he also faces moral test. The novel suggests that responsibility is not only about what we do, but also about what we refuse to say, or what we refuse to do. Overall, the reader is not only about Hannah's guilt; it's also about memory, shame, silence, and the difficulty of judging the past. The novel asks us to think about whether obedience can ever excuse immoral actions, and whether the guilt can repair historical wrongs. So, this was the ending of our discussion. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.